Aryna Sabalenka wins Brisbane title ahead of Australian Open. World number 1 becomes back-to-back champion at the Brisbane International with a straight sets victory over Marta Kostyuk. World number 1 Aryna Sabalenka brushed aside Marta Kostyuk 6-4, 6-3 in the Brisbane International final on Sunday to retain the title without losing a set ahead of her bid to reclaim the Australian Open title this month. Kostyuk had beaten top 10 players Jessica Pegula, Mira Andreeva and Amanda Anisimova on her way to the final but was no match for the sheer power of the US Open champion. Recommended stories. List of 4 items. List 1 of 4. Barca defends Spanish Super Cup against Real in Saudi Arabia, all to know. List 2 of 4. Impressive Nigeria beat Algeria 2-0 to set up AFCON semi-final with Morocco. List 3 of 4. Sulla seals Egypt win against holders Ivory Coast to reach AFCON 2025 semis. List 4 of 4. Morocco coach angrily rejects AFCON ref bias as Nigeria semi-final looms. End of list. Sabalenka is determined to win back the Australian Open title she relinquished last year, and her performance in the fierce Brisbane heat suggests she will be hard to beat at Melbourne Park this month. Thank you to my team for handling me. I'm really the toughest one to handle, and you guys are the toughest people in the world if you can handle me, she told the crowd before directing a comment at partner Georgios Frangoulis in the stands. Thank you to my boyfriend. Hopefully, soon I'll call you something else, right? Let's just put a bit of extra pressure on, right? Sabalenka overpowers Kostyuk. Sabalenka raced off to a 3-0 lead in the opening set before coming a bit unstuck as her first serve deserted her and her 23-year-old opponent feasted on her second. There were the familiar hangdog expressions as Sabalenka raised her eyes to the skies in reaction to spraying a shot high and wide, but it did not last for long. Rallying at 3-3, Sabalenka reduced the number of wild swings and heaped the pressure on her 26th-ranked opponent with the sheer power and accuracy of her strokes. She quickly wrapped up the opening set and was soon 3-0 up in the second after again taking Kostyuk's first service game. There was no way back for Kostyuk this time, and she faced a real battle just to hold her serve 3 times before Sabalenka served out to secure her 22nd WTA title, sealing the deal when her opponent netted a return on her first championship point. Kostyuk said her thoughts were with the people back home in her war-torn country. I play every day with a pain in my heart, and there are thousands of people who are without light and warm water, she said. Right now it's minus 20 degrees Celsius outside, so it's very, very painful to live this reality every day. It's very hot here in Brisbane, so it's difficult to imagine this, but my sister is sleeping under 3 blankets because of how cold it is at home. Sabalenka will be gunning for a 3rd Australian Open and 5th major title at the year's first Grand Slam, which starts on January 18th. The Tiger roars again, Aryna Sabalenka's Brisbane masterpiece. In the balmy Queensland sunshine of January, with the Brisbane International pulsing at the Pat Rafter Arena, tennis witnessed a moment of supreme athletic storytelling. Aryna Sabalenka, the world number 1 from Belarus, lifted the trophy, not just for the sheer joy of victory, but as a bold herald of her intentions for the year's first Grand Slam, the Australian Open. This wasn't merely a title defense, it was a statement. In straight sets, 6-4, 6-3, Sabalenka vanquished Ukraine's Marta Kostyuk in a final that blended tension, precision, and unrelenting force. It was a match that reminded fans why Sabalenka remains one of the most formidable competitors in women's tennis. Her trademark power, thunderous serves, ferocious ground strokes, and an appetite for dictating each rally came alive in every game. For the week, she didn't drop a set, an emphatic reminder that the hunt for slam starts not in Melbourne, but in confidence built through domination. A champion's journey through Brisbane. Sabalenka's route to the final read like a champion's manifesto. Before the deciding match with Kostyuk, she posted decisive victories over top competition. She handled Karolina Muchova with clinical control in the semifinals. She beat Madison Keys, her nemesis from the 2025 Australian Open final, in straight sets earlier in the week. These wins weren't just about scorelines, they were psychological milestones. Sabalenka's progress reaffirmed her readiness to meet the season's first slam with momentum and belief. At times she appeared unstoppable, a force of sheer athletic conviction. By week's end, Sabalenka had also etched her name deeper into the modern tennis canon. The Brisbane title was her 22nd WTA singles victory, pushing her past longtime compatriot Victoria Azarenka for the third most trophies among active women on tour behind only Iga Swiatek and Venus Williams. More than a trophy, a warning shot to the AO field. Tennis is more than numbers and statistics, but the figures underpinning Sabalenka's Australian swing are staggering. She's won 5 titles on Australian soil, the majority of them in Brisbane and at the Australian Open itself. Her record in Australia across recent seasons stands at a remarkable win percentage, with most matches won in straight sets. This rising dominance sets up a vivid storyline. Sabalenka is not just prepared for the Australian Open, she's favoured. When asked about her status going into Melbourne, she didn't deflect. She acknowledged the role momentum plays at a slam, especially for a player of her caliber. For the WTA elite, Coco Gauff, Iga Swiatek, Elena Rybakina, and others, Sabalenka's Brisbane performance is both inspiration and warning. It's a reminder that on the hard courts of Australia, Sabalenka's power and court presence make her a central figure in any major title conversation. The emotional undercurrents, storylines beyond the scoreboard. Every tournament has its narratives beneath the surface, the human elements that elevate sport from competition to art. In Brisbane, tension and emotion both played their part. Kostyuk, the rising Ukrainian star with a fiery serve and fearless shot-making, brought intensity and heart to the final. For a moment, she tested Sabalenka's rhythm. Yet Sabalenka's resilience turned pressure into opportunity, demonstrating her evolution as a competitor maturing not just in power but in composure. And there was the moment after the match, Sabalenka's pointed celebration, a gesture that caught worldwide attention. Sport is as much about character as technique, and that gesture, controversial to some and emblematic to others, spoke to the fire that fuels her. The psychological edge, carrying Brisbane into Melbourne. Sports psychology tells us that confidence is built match by match. Back-to-back titles in Brisbane have provided Sabalenka more than a trophy, they've given her a mental trophy case. She enters the Australian Open not just as a participant but as a claimant, a player who has already proven her hunger and readiness. While other contenders arrive after varying degrees of preparation and physical strain, Sabalenka's Brisbane week was a perfect blend of rest and exertion, showcasing her fitness and tactical sharpness on hard courts, the same surface awaiting in Melbourne.